for sponsoring such a fantastic program today, from the Inspiring Luminary Awards to a wonderful lunch, and now in exciting conversations that count. Before I welcome our hosts to the podium, please direct your attention to the video screen.
Momentum. It starts by creating spaces where every perspective has a seat at the table, where every voice matters, and every person belongs. At UnitedHealth Group, inclusion is a core value. It's part of our foundation. It's compassion behind every interaction. It's a future that's fueled by resilience and built with the strength of our community. Growing and caring together. That's our promise. Because when we uplift each other, we all rise.
Once again, please welcome Linda Jones.
Thank you, Kristen. It's truly an honor to be here as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Black Enterprise Women of Power Summit, and to stand alongside so many women who are shaping the future through courage, purpose, and leadership. At UnitedHealth Group, we believe power is not defined by a title. It's defined by impact. Women of power are women who lift as they climb, who turn obstacles into opportunity, and who understand that success is not a solo journey, it's a collective one. I am standing here today because of a community of women who poured into me, mentors who shared wisdom, sponsors who opened doors I didn't yet know to knock on, and my village that reminded me, you belong in every room your purpose carries you into. That kind of support doesn't just change careers, it changes lives. That's why investing in women, and especially Black women who have paved a long way for progress, is so important to us as an organization. When women thrive, families are healthier, communities are stronger, and the future is brighter for everyone. So today, as we honor the trailblazers in this room, the women whose courage carved the very path that we now walk, let's recommit to being that woman of power for someone else. Be the mentor who speaks life. Be the sponsor who opens the door. Be the voice that says, you belong here. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda and UnitedHealthcare Group, again for hosting today's lunch and conversation. And with that, ladies, it is that time, power with purpose, the power to influence, the power to mobilize, the power to change outcomes. And that kind of power only matters when we choose to use it together. This conversation is about action, how we leverage our platforms, activate our networks, and turn visibility into impact for the communities counting on us. And leading us in this crucial conversation is Luminary Award honoree Jotaka Eaddy, Luminary Award honoree Angela Rye, and our moderator, Elisa Gums. Please welcome Jotaka, Angela, and Elisa.
Well, if you couldn't tell from their acceptance speeches, these ladies are fire. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Congratulations to both of you on your Legacy Awards, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm always curious to know why people do what they do. So for each of you, what was the spark that first triggered your activism?
Mm-hmm.
You want to go?
Okay.
Y'all used to know. I call Angela the chief of staff of all of us, so I'm going to follow your lead, sis.
stole that from Tiff. I'm going to get Tiffany for saying that. Hopefully you all can hear us clearly. Again, good afternoon. I first want to just acknowledge how important it is to speak to village. I was raised in a household with a father who's a bullhorn-toting activist and a mom who is vice president at a community college. And both of them were radical in their love for Black people. And I never had a choice. There was not a spark that was lit. It was born in me. My parents named me after Angela Davis, Dr. Angela Yvonne Davis. And I take what she's done to make opportunity accessible for us very seriously. I also, and I should have said it in my remarks, but I also think about the villages that sustain us. So my god sister Latanya, my cousin Mia are here. My big sister who I adopted, Kimberly Blackwell, is here in the room, and Queen Gail King is here as well. And I just want to love on y'all and say thank you for being a part of the village that holds me accountable, helps me to become better. And I'm so just flooded by the love of our community. And so there are Black people that sustain me, and that is the constant ongoing spark that I need to continue the work that I do.
Yeah, I think for me, very similar to Angela, it's where I come from and always knowing whom I belong. So I grew up in a very rural town in South Carolina, Johnsonville, South Carolina. It's a population of 1,491 people, and I grew up on a dirt road, and my family is still on that dirt road. But it was, the spark for me was seeing particularly Black women in my community and my church stand up and love on each other and pour into us. And then particularly for me, when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, Reverend Jesse Jackson came to Johnsonville, South Carolina. So you can imagine Reverend Jesse Jackson coming to a town of 1,491 people, everything stops. And workers, largely people in my family and my church, they were striking for a living wage. When Reverend Jackson came, I'll never forget watching him speak. He was on our high school field, football field, so you could just imagine, he had on all black, and he stood there, and I remember seeing and watching him say, "I am somebody, I am somebody," and it did something for me. And that was the moment that I knew whatever it was that I did in life, that I knew, one, that I was going to boldly be somebody, but I wanted to be a part of making change. And so for me, that was the spark of just being surrounded by parents who told me, I went to a school, if you imagine in rural South Carolina, what the guidance counselor is going to tell me I'm not as smart and I am smarter. And having my parents and watching them advocate not only for me, but also for other kids to make sure that we were in the gifted and talented, and seeing Black women pour, and then seeing Reverend Jesse Jackson, that was really pivotal for me.
Yeah, and how did that evolve into the careers that you've built for yourself as policy advisors, as political strategists? Take us a little bit through the career journey.
You know, I think the funniest thing about my career is I remember growing up, and I'm sure you all have similar stories, but you're constantly asked as a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so there were two things that I wrote in my Cabbage Patch Kids scrapbook back in the day. Shout out to the folks who are old enough to know what a Cabbage Patch Kid is. But there were two things that I wrote down that I spelled wrong, similar to how I was announced today. I spelled lawyer, L-O-Y-E-R. And then I spelled it librarian. My auntie was a librarian, and I loved reading. So there were two things, and I think that goes right back to the heart of this village concept. Like the people who I saw and aspired to, they said I was good at arguing with my dad, so they were like, you should be a lawyer. And so I would just say, at every turn, every single step in my career has been centered around how I can uplift and ensure the advancement of Black people. So I remember when I was leaving NAFIO, which is the National Association for Equal Opportunity in Higher Education, which represents historically Black and predominantly Black colleges in DC. And on the other side of my internship with Maxine Waters, you gotta be working for Black people with Maxine Waters. But when I went from there to Capitol Hill, it was the Homeland Security Committee. And I was like, now what am I gonna do on the Homeland Security Committee? Like, I don't even like that George Bush created this thing, right? I'm just being honest. Sorry if any defense contractors are in the room, just being honest. But what I ended up finding out there is it was a divine appointment with Benny Gordon Thompson, who some of you all know, who chaired the special committee on January 6th. He was the chair of the Homeland Security at the time. And he told me, he said, Angela, the most important thing you can do here is make sure that you help Black people. So at the time, the Homeland Security Department was the 3rd largest federal purchaser in the federal government. And he said what we need to be working on is how we ensure Black people have access to these opportunities, because we need to make at least 10 Black millionaires. And I took him seriously. So every step of the way, I've never had a white boss.
Ever?
Ever.
What?
That's fine. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. People are like, whoa. Unless maybe you count CNN, but there I was a contractor, right? So, but I've never had a white boss, and I have been covered by Black folks who were not threatened by me, who let me try and make mistakes, get up and try better, you know? So that, I think, has been my career journey.
Yeah, my career journey is very interesting. I like to call it the windy path forward. For those of you that are in Silicon Valley or tech, like, I think of it like a tech stack. But similar to my sister Angela, and I think for many of us in the room, no matter like the spaces that we've been in, what's been constant is the thing that we are purposely driven towards, which is purpose, community, sisterhood, and impact. And so for me, it's always been impact. So I mean, I started my career doing criminal justice advocacy work. I am an activist and an organizer. I have just been an activist and an organizer in various spaces. Yeah. So whether or not I've been on a presidential campaign, or I've been at a nonprofit organization, or I've been senior advisor to the president of the NAACP, or an executive in Silicon Valley, or leading my own business, I'm still an activist and an organizer, just using various spaces to continue to do that work. But for me, what's been interesting in my career path, and I think it's just really important to say in this room, is that I spent years at the NAACP as senior advisor to the president of the NAACP, where I spent a lot of time. Angela was the executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation at the time.
Not the foundation.
Not the foundation, Lord, I'm giving you a whole other job. She was the executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus. So we would spend a lot of time, and I remember when I got the call to go to Silicon Valley, I was like, no, I don't think I could go into corporate, because I had this misconception that going into corporate America or business was selling out. And what I soon learned, and I had mentors and leaders like Mignon Moore and Tanya Lombard, Bishop Lear Daughtry, Yolanda Caraway, Donna Brazile. I say their names all the time because it's so important, because what they said to me was, no, you go into that industry and continue to do advocacy work. And when I went in, I was very reluctant, and I'm just honored to just, you know, your legacy honoree, Shelley, I know she's in here, was really someone, and Gail King and Sid Marshall and the Tanya Lombards, of seeing Black women who were in corporate America, who knew who they were and who were expanding the table. And so that was always very important. So when I went in the industry, I remember going back to others in DC who were migrating into Silicon Valley to say, well, this is what I learned. This is how you negotiate your equity, or this is how you can expand the table. And so I think every turn of the way, it's important for us to know that, like, wherever we are sitting, we have agency to create impact and change. And you don't have to be in Washington, or you don't have to be at a state capitol. You could just speak truth to power where you're at in your company or corporation.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that at the end, because I want you to tell everyone here how they can do that. Yeah. But you just called Angela your sister. Yes. Backstage, you said to me, no, people don't understand. Angela is really my sister. Yeah. And the work you do is hard. We know that it's often us who are fortifying us in the hard times. So can you speak to the sisterhood of this work?
Yeah. I'm tearing up because it's the sisterhood that really sustains us. And and it's important. This is my sister for real.
Yeah.
And it has been not in the toughest times of our movement, but the toughest
Hold
times
on.
of
Can we
my
give my
life.
girl a tissue though? Because her makeup is too good to have it running.
But it's been the toughest time in my life where it has been Black women or sisters that have stood in the gap, that have been there. And I think often in this work, we get so caught up in the task or the work or the assignment or whatever it is. Oh, thank you so
In the
much.
mic.
The work and the assignment. But it's the sisterhood that is most important. It's that sister who is going to protect you. It is that sister who says your name. It is that sister when you get knocked down that is going to lift you back up. It's that sister that will pray for you, who cheers for you when she is by herself. That is what is most important. And there have been so many Black women whom said my name in rooms that I have not been in. And that's what takes us forward. That's the village. That's the secret sauce of Black women. And so sisterhood, I believe, is just essential to everything that we do. And when I think about why and this room is so important, and particularly in this moment in time, when more than 300 Black women have been removed out of the workplace, that it is going to be the sisterhood and the collective power that will continue to carry us forward.
Do you want to say anything about that?
I do. I think first I would encourage us all to create community so we don't feel isolated. You know, on a macro level, Joe has Win with Black Women. I can't tell you how many times, she knows this, how many times you get on those calls and you're like, okay, I'm living to fight another day and all the Goliaths. Like, you know, you're ready. And so, Joe, I really thank God that he laid it on your heart to do it and that you have continued despite every obstacle, challenge, when people don't come through. Thank you for doing that and for seeing us and knowing we need that space. I'll also say on a micro level, I have my girls who call ourselves the Machetes, and it's Black. Don't do that, y'all. We not really cutting nobody, but it's Black women who are mostly in media and in the activism space, and we vacation together, talk to each other, lift each other up. Have worked through somebody having a premature birth, somebody else going through a layoff, very public layoff, breakups. I've had a couple, we're there all together. And then I also want to shout out, Joe just named Mignon Moore, but I already mentioned Kimberly Blackwell, but I'm going to tell all the family business, Kim. I'm not looking at you, can't see you, so it's fine. But we do these, we call our little calls happy hours. We don't drink on the calls, we call them happy hours because we are very happy on these calls. We be on the phone for 2 or 3 hours. Now, what I need y'all to do when you see me is say, but did you do it on the treadmill? Because that was supposed to be my commitment. We're on the phone all that time, and we are solving the world's problems that nobody asked us to solve. A lot of times they're telling me something I didn't do right, and I got to get it right. But these are phenomenal Black women who have become my big sisters, and I am so grateful for those spaces. I encourage you all to cultivate them. They are the most amazing. And so we have those calls, we have each other, support one another. My best friend in the world is always there for me. And I just think these are the moments where you realize you're not alone and you can overcome anything thrown your way.
Yeah. I want to get some tactical advice for the women because there's some things you've been very successful at, both of you. Jotaka, the work that both of you do hinges on building partnerships and building communities. What is your advice for getting people galvanized around your ideas?
I think it first starts with truth and purpose and really being driven around our collective interests around serving something greater than ourselves. I think that's the most important place to start. It's bigger than any individual. It is about the collective. It is about the collective nature of our people. Now, we're not all gonna go at the same speed. We're not all gonna be in the same car. We're not gonna all be in the same clothes inside that car, but we all need to be driving in the same direction. And sometimes some will go faster, some will go, and when somebody breaks down, like, then you gotta support and help. And I think that is the part that right now in this country, and I think people think about, like Angela was sharing, like win with black women would not be possible. I don't know how many, and it's been amazing. So many of you have stopped me and said, I'm on the calls, I'm on the calls.
Yeah.
Win with black women would not be win with black women without the black women who are making sure that we are in collective unity together.
Yeah.
It is not me, it is not any individual that you see, it is you, it is us. It was us that got on that call that night and got 44,000. And I always shout out Artist Hampshire Cohen, because it was a black woman who decided, when we would clamor, when it was just 3,000 and all these people trying to get on the call, it was a black woman who picked up the phone and called the COO of Zoom and said, oh, we need more space. And it was artists, and it's what we do as black women, is that we just show up and no one has to ask us to do what we know we need to do. And so sometimes it's not necessarily you're trying to coerce somebody to do something. It's just that we're all going in the same direction. We all are committed to something greater than ourselves, and it's just important for everybody that is going in that direction to understand the purpose where we're going, and creating space for people to be in their excellence and do what it is that you do. I'm not going to be able to commentate like my good sister Angela Rye, but she got it. And when she's doing it, I'm going to support her in what she's doing. I'm going to yell for her. I'm going to support for her in any way. And I think that's how we galvanize around something, is when you create agency and space for people to do the excellent thing that they do, and support them loudly and proudly when they do it.
Yep. Yes. Angela, you mentioned platforms in your acceptance speech. You're both great. I mean, you broke the internet with your Zoom calls. Angela, for you, it's traditionally been media. But what advice can you share with them about first building your platform and then mobilizing it to create social impact?
Yeah, I think one thing that I'm really concerned about in this era is the number of people who are hyper-focused about having a stage, having a microphone, having virality, without being centered on a foundation that makes sense around your intention. So the first thing that I would really say, especially to younger folks, is they'll come and be like, I'm trying to build my brand. I want to build my brand. What is my brand? And it's like, boo, did you build a resume first, right? Like, what is the body of work that you're standing on to build a brand, right? So sorry, I'm a little silly. But I will say, it is so important for us to have a clear intention. Like, are you building a brand because you want to be seen? Are you trying to be platform because you're like, oh, I'm cuter than them, I get, whatever. But like, what is the reason for it? So for me, even when Donald Trump won the election in 2016, I saw someone who utilized media to influence and convince minds, even if he was convincing them into deception, right? And so what I said to myself was like, self, I want to speak to people, but I want to galvanize people around truth, which is the same thing Joe just mentioned. We have to center around our intention. I didn't have to be the messenger. If I was the messenger, great. But if I could find a messenger that could break through and cut through better than me, fantastic. So at the end of the day, we have to ensure that our intentions are pure about impacting correctly, about leading in truth, about guiding our people towards freedom and liberation. What are all of the pieces that we must play? The other thing that is plaguing me right now is we want everyone to show up the same way, to speak the same words, to take the same role, to be the same part. We are a body. Somebody's a finger, somebody's a toe, somebody's a kneecap. I shouldn't be the kneecap, Joe, my knee's messed up right now. Like all the things, an ankle, a brain. Like, we all play a part, and what I want us to stop doing is poo-pooing the part that you don't play or you don't understand. Everybody plays that role. That has been so clear to me lately because, again, losing Reverend, it's made me think about the gaps that he filled. He had an inside and outside strategy. And right now, the insiders are judging the outsiders. They think they're too loud. They think they're too bold. They think they're too black. You think they're going to embarrass you. That ain't it, y'all. You got inside because Reverend Jackson had an inroad to demand an opportunity for you. If you are in tech, if you are in financial services, if you are in the automotive space, best believe Reverend Jackson had something to do with you getting there. It wasn't Yale and Harvard, darling. That's not how you got there. Because even right now, they're still telling you DEI didn't earn it because they confused about what that actually means. Anyway, that's a whole sermon for another day. But yes, we all need each other.
Yes.
Yes.
We all know what's going on outside these walls.
Yes.
Inside these walls, you have a room full of women who are intelligent, resourceful, well-connected, influential. What is your call to action for each and every one of them about what they need to be engaged and what you need to support you?
Oh, you know, this is the thing that I will say, and I say this a lot. And I think this is just so important. I want you to look at the sister that's sitting at the table to you. I want you to say, you are enough.
Enough.
You are
enough.
Enough. Because society will reinforce this idea that you, black woman, are not filling the blank enough. When we know good and well that in most cases, we are more than enough.
Yes, indeed.
And that's important, particularly in this moment in time when there is an aggressive, well-funded attack on black women everywhere. Whether or not she is in public office, whether or not she's in corporate America, whether or not she has a media platform, she is being attacked. And the thing that they want us to do, and I think I was having a conversation with Angela about this a few months ago. I think the most dangerous thing that can happen to our community and our society right now is for us to ever believe mentally that we do not have power. Yeah. Because if you do not recognize the power that you have, think about why are they spending so much money and time to try to diminish your power.
That's it.
So in this moment, you cannot shrink yourself. You cannot shrink your voice. You must speak truth to power, and you must, as Bishop Leah Daughtry always says, consistently and always take up space. Because we deserve, and we need to be at every single table, every single space and place. And so that's the thing that I would implore, is that we've got to just remember who we are and whom we are. And even in the midst of attack, I often say this, that you gotta know that oxygen is flowing even if the bag does not inflate.
Okay.
Remember that.
Okay.
And I know many of us flew here, and I flew American Airlines. If y'all follow me, y'all know that's my bae. But what I will say is that, you know, we hear put your own oxygen mask on before attempting to help others. But that next line that the flight attendant says, oxygen is flowing even if the bag does not inflate. I want you to think about that in the midst of chaos. When the mask comes down and you put it on and you're breathing and it just doesn't seem like it's moving, as long as you are connected to a source.
Yeah.
And that is a God, that is your purpose, that is your faith. Oxygen is flowing even if the bag does not inflate.
Yes, that's an amen.
That's an amen.
Yeah.
Now, I hate to debate Joe at the end. I think we take the oxygen mask analogy too far. Now, this was good. But I feel like sometimes, y'all, we're in a crisis outside. You said right outside the doors.
Right outside.
This is your time to come together. Black Enterprise has convened us all. You all have found money in your budgets to support this very important convening when the rest of the world has said we should not come together. This right now is the oxygen mask. You understand what I'm saying? Like, don't just be like, well, let me be in my corporate environment, in my office, looking out for myself. No. You just fine. Make sure you start looking out for everybody else that convenes us. Find the sponsorship dollars to make sure that we can still gather so you can get better at your job, so you can find your courage. This conversation is be the change. You're not changing nothing if you can't find your courage. You're not changing a single thing. And by the way, this is my last thing. This is my last one. I remember, and it was during the 2012 convention. And there was a member of Congress who had just passed And this analogy came to me about the difference between the legacy of the first versus the legacy of the one and only. We stand on the shoulders of ancestors who were the legacies of the first. How dare us become, in this day and age, in the year of our Lord 2026, the legacy of the one and only. You're not doing nothing for nobody if you in your little corporate office talking about, well, I'm the only one. Well, then that's a damn shame. So that day is over. You need to be the legacy of the first. Blow open them doors. Find the change. Find the courage, and let's move together. Because the one and only is it.
As Donna Brazil would say, if she was in here, when you walk through a door, make sure you turn around and take it off the hinges so it never closes again.
Bam.
Yes.
Drop that mic.
Yes. We have time for one, maybe two questions, if y'all are quick to the mic.
Come on down.
Okay, we got them.
I got all the old school throwbacks today.
Thank you so much for this panel. Jotaka, hi again, and I am one of the 44,000, so I'm very proud of that and the work that you all are doing. So my question is, we said...
What's your name? Where you from?
Sorry, Deneen L. Garrett from the Detroit. By the way, it's 313 Day, Detroit.
All right, 313 Day.
Yes. But anyway, we were saying we were going to rest. So how do we define rest today?
I am so glad you asked that question. I'm sure Angela has some thoughts too. Now, there's the photo of black women sitting on the building and everything burning and drinking coffee or whatever they drinking, tea or whatever. Now, I do believe in rest. I believe self-care is critical and important, but there is a big misconception about this idea that black women have just went away and we don't care about our community, because right now in this moment, black women are leading in so many ways across this nation in resistance, but we're doing it our own way. Now, y'all want to go and march and do all the things and the pink hats and all that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to State of the People and doing work with my sister and others to help do the work in our community. And I think what is most important for black women, for us to do the work inside of our community. And I think the misconception is others, because they don't see us doing it the way that they think we should be doing it, then they just assuming that we are like sleeping at the wheel. We're not sleeping at the wheel. Like, do you think we gonna sit there and let the building that we are sitting in burn down too? No. And it just drives me crazy, particularly when others come and it's like, well, black women, we need you. No, but we ain't never went no place. We never went any place. We're just doing it on our own agenda, working in our own community. And yes, I'm not saying work yourself and burn yourself out, but black women, we are not resting right now. We are the resistance and we're fighting, and I think that's important, and we should reject this notion that we're just someplace like in La La Land, because we can't afford to be in La La Land, because our lives actually depend on our ability to speak truth to power and be in resistance in this moment.
A question that I asked to the panel not too long ago. I'm Kimberly Corbin. Any urban leaguers in the house?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm with the Greater Washington Urban League.
All right.
One of the largest affiliates of the movement. And I have been a disruptor all of my life. But see, I'm in the 60s. I'm 60 plus years old. We didn't have people to have our back when we were being the disruptor. And there's a lot of people in this room and a lot of people that I mentor that are young, that are trying to figure out how to be a disruptor but not sustain the same type of backlash and consequences that we as boomers and Gen Xers experienced.
Is that the question?
So tell me, I want them to share, sorry about that.
It's
I want
okay.
to share, what are the things that we as sisters can do to protect our dissenters and our disruptors, because they got a lot of risk on their name for being out there telling the truth.
Angela, you want to take this one?
Sure. I thank you so much for your question. I will just say, again, this goes back to the foundational intention. There are a lot of people that want to be perpetual troublemakers, but don't want to understand there are consequences that come with the game. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't guard and protect with our lives the folks who also need the oxygen. But I think that we fundamentally misunderstand that just because you're out in protest out front, that it doesn't come with people trying to aim at you. I think one thing that Black folks should do in this season is understand you don't go it alone. When you go it alone, you are a central target, no pun intended. When you, earlier the pun was intended. When you go in a group, it's harder to figure out who to pick off. You know, they're not going to be able to come up with stories to destroy you, to discredit you, and all of that. We need to be standing together. I think that the other big myth that we have is we think that people on the inside cannot talk to the people on the outside. There are people inside corporate that should be coordinating with many of our sisters now who are international presidents of labor unions. Run trade associations, are coordinating internships at our schools, at historically Black colleges and universities. The folks who are ensuring that you all have the seats at the table that you deserve in the C-suite, on boards, as mid-level managers, as senior directors in your organizations. You have to be talking to the people who are willing to be the agitators, the disruptors, the folks that are challenging on the outside. So some of that still will be met with consequence. What we can do, make sure we got bailout funds. You know, we got to make sure that we are saying these are people with valid concerns. Don't go in there trying to be like, oh, I don't know why they're saying that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So you can't sell out when you get in there. You have an obligation to hold the line. The way you hold the line can be different. Don't poo-poo the end goal. Your means to the end goal may be different, but let's always align on the end goal. That's the most nonviolent way I can put it, and I think the best thing we can do in this hour, you all know what is happening. You all know that we're getting hit on the government side, we're getting hit inside corporate, we're getting hit on the labor side. We literally cannot afford to stand separate and in isolation. The math ain't math, and we are all we got. We got to take it to the end of the road.
Okay. Thank you for your questions, and everyone, please join me in thanking Jotaka and Angela for their candor.
Thank our moderator.
Thank you.